What if I told you that every flaw you see in yourself might be the very thing that brings beauty and hope to someone else's life? A humble farmer named Hari lived in a quiet village between emerald hills. Each morning, before the sun had fully warmed the earth, Hari shouldered a wooden yoke with 2 clay pots dangling at its ends and set out for the river. One of those pots was perfectly whole, smooth, sturdy, and unblemished. The other bore a thin crack snaking along its side, so fine it was almost invisible unless you looked closely. Every day, as he trudged back along the dusty path, Hari would glance down and notice that the cracked pot had lost half its water. By the time he reached his small farmhouse, one pot was brimming with fresh river water, while the other sat nearly empty and ashamed. He paused countless times to peer at the drip of water that traced the cracked pot's side, wondering whether it was worth carrying such a burden. Yet something deep inside him would not let him cast it aside. One hot afternoon, when the sun beat down like a blazing forge, the cracked pot could endure its shame no longer. Its voice was soft and timid, a mere whisper carried by the breeze. "Master," it said, "I am sorry. I have failed you. See how little water I bring home each day. I am worthless." Hari set the yoke down gently and turned to his companion with a warm, knowing smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Come with," he said compassionately. "Walk the path home and see what you have done." The pot, trembling, followed as Hari led the way back down the worn trail. But this time, they did not walk in silence. On the side of the path where the other pot's water pooled in neat troughs, the ground lay parched and brown, cracked like old paint. On the other side, where the cracked pot's droplets had seeped into the soil, a riot of color had taken root. Fiery marigolds swayed in the breeze, delicate violets carpeted the ground, bright daisies opened to the sky. Their petals glowed like embers in the afternoon sun, and their fragrance filled the air with sweetness. The pot gasped. "I planted no seeds," it stammered, "and yet these blooms shine every day." Hari knelt beside the flowers and touched a soft petal. "You did," he said gently. "Your leaking water nourishes this soil, watering these seeds day after day. What you saw as a flaw became a gift." The pot shivered with newfound wonder, its surface warm from the revelation. All its life it had believed itself broken. Now it realized that its very crack had brought joy and color to the world. That evening, as dusk painted the sky in lavender and rose, Hari placed both pots by the perfect pot, lay quiet, its surface unmarked. The cracked pot nestled amid the flowers it had grown, its crack almost glowing in the soft light. Inside the cottage, Hari reflected on the day's lesson. None of us is flawless, and the things we hide in shame may in fact be our greatest gifts. Days turned into weeks, and villagers who passed by lingered to admire the radiant flowers. They whispered among themselves, puzzled by the explosion of beauty on a path so barren just months before. At Hari's humble home, they asked him again and again, "Where do these flowers come from?" He would only smile and gesture toward the cracked pot. Many left still uncertain, until one curious traveler pressed him, "How can a broken pot make things grow?" Hari's eyes twinkled. "Sometimes," he said softly, "what we believe is our weakness is exactly what someone else needs to thrive." Word of the miraculous flower bed spread far beyond the village. A timid school teacher visited, learning that her stutter, once the source of her deepest embarrassment, allowed her students to relax, laugh together, and feel safe making mistakes. A young painter came and saw that her accidental smudges and drips could be woven into breathtaking new textures on canvas. A weary traveler discovered that his inability to remain in one place made him a gifted storyteller, weaving tales that brought comfort to lonely souls. Each left with a quiet revelation. Their imperfections were not burdens, but blessings in disguise. One evening, as the moon rose silver over the hills, Hari sat outside his cottage with the cracked pot and spoke his own quiet prayer of gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, for teaching me that beauty often springs from our deepest wounds. And so the cracked pot secret became a timeless lesson for all who heard it. Never be ashamed of your cracks. They may water the seeds of hope in someone else's life. Embrace for they are part of what makes you unique, and perhaps the very source of beauty in a barren world. If this story stirred something in your heart, join our little family of dreamers and doers. Hit that subscribe button and let's nurture each other's crack.